Good morning, and it's my pleasure to introduce the 8th day of the modern Decameron. And what a feast of stories we've had so far. Some told, some sung, and today is no different, with stories of ghosts and devils and cautionary tales. And I would like to begin with a story which is actually from the Middle East, but can be placed anywhere, as you will see. Long, long ago, in the time before people travelled, there were two friends in the tiny village of Cleverly. And each new year they would come together and discuss how the year had gone and look forward to the coming year. On this day, one of the young men said, "This year, I'm going to find the perfect wife." His friend was surprised. "And how are you going to do that?" he said. "Well, she needs to be beautiful, she needs to be interesting, and she needs to be nice." So the year went by, and the following New Year they met, and his friend said, "How did you get on?" He said, I met a girl, and she was so beautiful that men turned their heads in the street to look at her as she walked past. But she wasn't very interesting. We would sit in silence for a long time. "Oh, well," he said, "perhaps you should try further afield. How about Wolverhampton?" Now, he had heard of Wolverhampton, and his dad had been there once, but he didn't know what it was like really. But it was worth a try. And the following year, when they came together, his friend was all ears. "How has it gone this time?" he said. "Well," said the young man, "I met a girl who was so beautiful that men driving carts would stop and look at her as she walked past. Interesting, she had read a book. She could talk about all sorts of things. But I'm afraid she only thought of herself. She was very selfish." His friend nodded knowingly. "Well, I tell you what, you could try Birmingham." Now, he had heard of Birmingham. Birmingham was this huge place with massive factories, but he didn't know anyone who had been there. But it was worth a try. A year went past, and they met up to discuss his success. "Well," he said this time, "I met a girl in Birmingham so beautiful that men in bars would put down their drink and stare as she went past. Interesting, she'd read books, she'd been to the theatre, we could talk about all sorts of different things. Nice, she only thought about other people, never thinking of herself." And then his friend looked and said, "But what's wrong this time?" And his friend replied, "Unfortunately, she's looking for the perfect husband." And that is the end of my story today. Enjoy the other stories to come.